Oh, what a really good day. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Coach and Comedy Podcast for Let Me Check My Notes. It is Friday, January 23rd, 2026. Hard to believe we are here. I am the coach. We do this podcast only 20 or 30 minutes to support the morning show live on Stadium. If you missed any of the morning show, we had a ton of best bets. We had Footy Friday, so I encourage you to go back and watch it throughout the day. If you're watching this live, it's about 11:20 a.m. Eastern time, and the American Express Golf, we had 3 plays. You can still get them all in. But a lot of the tee times are going off in the desert, 3 courses, basically at the same time. All right, we got a lot of several topics to get into today, but let me bring in my guy. You saw him on the morning show. He is here several days during the week. Of course, I'm talking about Mikey P. Mikey, we have 3 topics, and I was always taught that NFL is king. So we're going to start with the NFL. And it seems like half of the NFL hired their head coach this offseason. And so now there's a lot of fascinating things that are going on in Buffalo because of Josh Allen. Many people believe this is the best opening. And now that the Ravens hired their guy yesterday, Chargers defensive coordinator, what the hell was his name? What was his name?
Jesse Minter.
Yeah, Jesse Mentor. Thank you. I threw my notes away. So now a lot of people think the Bills are the best opening. They've got the best quarterback in the league. So here's what is coming out of these interviews, because Mike McDaniel is going to be interviewed today. He was fired by the Dolphins last week, hired by the Chargers to be their OC. But Josh Allen has been in every single interview, and he is scheduled to be in Florida today to be a part of this one. Let's start here. Does it surprise you that not only are they asking him what he wants, but they're actively including him in what they are doing?
No, I think it's fully necessary right now. And I just want to say props to Josh Allen. Let's talk about mental and emotional exhaustion. And you have to believe that that's what he just experienced after the loss that they had in the playoffs. Then to turn around and have your head coach fired shockingly, then followed by a disastrous press conference by ownership and management. I mean, Josh Allen may just want to get away and disconnect. So props to him for being included. But right now, if you're a head coaching candidate and you're looking at the Buffalo job, Josh Allen needs to be there because I don't trust anybody in upper management. I just want to get in line with the quarterback.
You know what's funny is the other day they, 2 or 3 days after they fired Sean McDermott, they had this disaster of a press conference with their owner, Terry Pagula. And there's only a few owners, Mikey, in the league that have gigantic egos and want to be in front of the camera. Jerry Jones is one. I did not think Terry Pagula was another. But apparently, he does not care about throwing people under the bus. The reason I bring that up is that it's a little bit comical to me that if you're not a head coach of the level of a Mike Tomlin or a John Harbaugh or some of the coaches like a Sean McVay that are currently employed, to have fans or people say, well, I wouldn't take that job because of the owner. Mikey, do you know how hard it is to make $5 to $10 million in a lifetime, let alone per year? Do you think there's any lower level coordinator that, if offered this job, would not take it in a heartbeat? Because to me, it's a no-brainer. Anybody would take this job except for a Mike Tomlin or somebody like a John Harbaugh.
Yeah, you would be dumb not to.
Yeah.
I mean, but my whole point is I can sign the contract. I can be your guy. If I'm a lower level assistant or looking for my big break into the NFL head coaching circle, I will absolutely jump all over it. Now, just because I work for you doesn't mean I have to like you or love you. And if I'm the head coach going into Buffalo, the only person I truly need to be in line with more than anyone is Josh Allen. Josh, how can I put the ghost of the playoff past behind us? How can I get you to where you want to take this organization? Because it's about Josh Allen. It's not about management for me.
Now it is interesting because I don't think they're going to go with a quote unquote no name, because this is a we have to win right now. There is no giving 2 or 3 seasons away. Josh Allen is now north of 30 years of age. He has less than probably 10 years left the way he plays in his career. We also know that he likes a lot of things outside of the NFL. He has a super famous wife who also does very well for herself. So he's in a very different position than many, many others. So to bring in a guy that has to prove himself, I don't think they're going to do that. They're interviewing McDaniel, Anthony Lynn, who used to coach for the Bills. He also was a head coach for the Chargers. Our coach, Phil, was his wide receivers coach when Anthony Lynn was with the Chargers. So there's a lot of guys that football people know, but I don't think fans would know. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and the unfortunate side, with all due respect to all the coaches you just named, every single one of them still has something to prove. You think Buffalo is looking at Mike McDaniel, or the Buffalo Nation is looking at Mike McDaniel going, wow, what a success he was down in No, there's a reason why he was fired. Same thing with Brian Dable. You might be beloved in the community, but that doesn't mean that they're fully confident in what you could bring to the table, which is why, Coach, I believe the safe option may be Joe Brady, because he's been with the franchise, and he's looking for his first opportunity, and he's someone beloved in Buffalo. So I think there would be a little leeway there.
And he's an offensive coach. And if Josh Allen loves him already as his play caller, then that would make a lot of sense. It really, really would. We do have some breaking news coming into the BTT news desk. This was just sent over to me by producer man. According to Front Office Sports, newly minted Giants head coach John Harbaugh has pitched the idea of Rex Ryan being his defensive coordinator next season in New York. And if people don't know his history, he was a longtime defense coordinator for the Ravens 20 some odd years ago before he became the head coach for the Jets and for the Buffalo Bills. What this means, Mikey, is that ESPN on their biggest NFL show would all of a sudden have an opening for Mike Tomlin. Does all this make sense?
It makes perfect sense. But I love you, Mike Tomlin. Rexy Rex has got to stay. Sexy Rexy and his, I would say, sense of humor has to stay in ESPN. I'm not saying he can't go back to the league and be a great defensive coordinator. I think the Giants situation is one of those organizations where they have so much talent. It would be hard to make Rex Ryan look bad in his return to coaching circles, but he is so entertaining. Not to say Mike Tomlin wouldn't be, but I just love Rex Ryan because he looks like the angry old man.
I'm trying to figure out how you and I even became friends or working together, because almost all of your takes I have the opposite side of. Like, I thought they should have fired Rex Ryan years ago at ESPN. I don't think he's entertaining, but maybe he's a little polarizing, which is why we have our two different perspectives. I don't know. I do know this, that almost every single year that a New York job has come up, he has pushed to get back into the league. When the Jets had their opening, he pushed to be their head coach for the second time. For whatever reason, Mikey, and I know they make a lot of money. Assistants are making seven figures. He's had 8 or 9 years of $4 million or more. I don't count anybody else's money. But it's a little interesting to me when you get to a certain age, if you're making good money from ESPN, why would you want to go back and work 20-hour days in an organization that needs to be rebuilt? I think coaches just love to coach. That's the only answer that I can come up with.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get back on your good side here. I don't think it would be bad for ESPN if Rex Ryan left. I just believe he's entertaining. And now let me take you through a scenario, Coach. Let's look at the rookie year Abdul Carter had, number 3 overall pick for the New York Giants, stud pass rusher. He was benched for a couple games for what? Falling asleep at the facilities. Now bring in Rex Ryan into East Rutherford and go, where's my young stud? Oh, he's sleeping, Coach. Shh. Oh, okay. That kid will be running until he throws up. I want it mic'd up. Let's go, Rex Ryan. Get back in the league.
Yeah, I only benched Soupy once for doing that. I didn't bench him more than once. It's crazy falling asleep in practice. All right, topic number 2A. And we're going to go to the NBA on this one. It's all over ESPN.com and expose. And I love when these reporters, Mikey, will dive into a topic that we kind of already know what's happened or what the finish line is. LeBron James has always been polarizing. He's always been a number one topic. He is the all-time in almost every single category in the NBA. There's no questioning his greatness. 2003 to 2026 is absolutely bananas. However, at different stops along the way, he has burned some bridges. He has done things his own way. We know in Miami, part of the reason they let him walk is because he wanted all of his people, he wanted all of his entourage to have access to the facility whenever they wanted. And I think now that he is no longer at that high of a level, people are starting to take some shots. And this expose basically said that the Lakers were over him and his ego 3 years ago. That Jeannie Buss, who just gave up a lot she's staying on even though they just sold the team for over $10 billion, that Jeannie Buss is tired of his ass. So, of course, the reporters are going to ask him about it. And he said yesterday, at this point in my career, at this point in my life, I don't care if people like me. I think that I have resurrected the greatness that is the Los Angeles Lakers. Mikey, he's won one chip that nobody recognizes as a chip because it happened in a bubble in Florida during COVID, but he still looks at it as one of his 4 titles. How do you think ultimately this relationship between LeBron and the Lakers is going to end?
For a guy who throws up chalk in the air and rubs his hands together, I think he'll just wipe his hands clean and dip out. And I don't think Bronny James will be with the Lakers shortly thereafter. LeBron's legacy in LA, coach, comes down to one name, and it does start with an L, and it's not LeBron. It's Luka. If he had any involvement, to which these reports say that he may or may not have, in getting Anthony Davis sent to Dallas for Luka Doncic, you set the standard future for the Lakers for the next 10 years by acquiring one of the best players that we've seen in a very long time. So to me, that's LeBron's legacy, not the championship bubble. It's getting Luka, a guy you pass the throne off to.
But think about this, if indeed he was a part of that. Think about this. Because if he was, Anthony Davis is repped by Clutch Sports and Rich Paul. Rich Paul is business associates, partners with LeBron James. Can you imagine, Mikey, if indeed LeBron went to the Lakers brass for a guy that is in his company, a guy that he has mentored, a guy that he has been partners with? Can you imagine if that is true? Do you think Anthony Davis would ever talk to LeBron James again if he found out LeBron was the reason he got shipped to Dallas?
I'll go as far as saying I don't believe there's any shame in the NBA stories. I think when it comes to NBA drama, the league tells on itself. I can give you several examples. I also don't think Clutch Sports has any shame in their game. We just recently saw it this past week with the Austin Reeves situation where Rich Paul is suggesting, maybe they trade him for Jaren Jackson Jr. And then, we met, we talked it out. Why are you even talking? You're not a part of the franchise. You're not a part of the organization. You are just LeBron's guy. Stop talking. So to be honest, coach, it would not shock me if LeBron did have something to do with it. And I don't think there's any shame on any side.
You need to stop it right now. Only LeBron's guy. He's also Adele's husband, big dog. He's got a lot of different monikers on his name. Now, one of the other, you're listening, by the way, the Coach and Company podcast or watching on socials and YouTube. One of the other big parts of this was the fact, and I was very vocal about this, that if LeBron truly was a champion, truly wanted to win, he's already a billionaire, that he could have taken the league minimum and he would have shaken up everything. Imagine him taking $1 million. He would have left $50 million on the table, but that could have got 2 really, really, really good players. He never even entertained it, which means he wanted cake and to eat it too. And his son gets drafted and got the biggest second-round deal in the history of the league. 4 years, I think it was $7.8 million. Well, Draymond Green had his own podcast. Draymond Green is also repped by Clutch Sports. They're all in this whole thing together. I want to play something for you and get your reaction. This is Draymond Green talking about Bronny and LeBron needing to be appreciative of the fact that the Lakers drafted his son.
Felt LeBron was not great for the Lakers drafted Bronny. Do you bow down and kiss the ring? Say thank you, you're appreciative. I've seen Bron speak out about how he's appreciative to the organization, giving Bronny a chance. But also, Bronny did do some work. Bronny worked to become who he's become as well. It's not like this kid wasn't a top recruit and didn't play at a top college. Like, give Bronny some credit as well. He worked. Like, does LeBron being with the Lakers help Bronny get drafted there? Of course. But I've spoke about this before too, but don't tell me the owner's son that's a general manager or something else don't help.
What's he talking about? Bronny James played one season at USC, which the last time I checked is not a top college program. He didn't even average 10 points, I believe, in his freshman year, did he? I think it was like 9 or 10 points. But everybody and their mother said that Bronny James should stay in school. And if there was ever a reason to stay, Mikey, it would be because you have a gigantically famous rich father and you don't need to go to the league at that point. Look at Arch Manning. He's been very patient over there, but this was about LeBron wanting to tell the world, show the world, I'm on the same court with my son, which I believe has happened like 5 or 6 times is all. It's like something ridiculously low. Draymond clearly is trying to back them, but he's not talking facts at all.
He said a lot for saying absolutely nothing. Listen, I don't want to sit here and rip Draymond Green. I've got my own personal feelings, but everything he said couldn't be more wrong. Oh, Bronny's put in the work. To do what, Draymond? Come off the bench when it's a 25-point lead with a minute and a half to go? Take 3 shots and miss? And high-five his dad on the way out to stand next to his dad during post-game press? Like, what has Bronny done to elevate himself to the status of a legit NBA player? The answer is nothing. JJ Redick doesn't even give him, the credit or the appreciation of being LeBron's son. So I don't want to hear that part of it more than anything. That actually, that got under my skin a little bit.
I wonder how many guys are going to start coming out of the woodwork, because now that there's all these NBA players that have their own podcast and they have some, really big sponsors behind them, and they fly these guys into the same space so they can do these shows together. How long do you think it's going to be when LeBron James is done before all of these stories start to come out? Because, and I'm not accusing LeBron of anything, but to be the Derek Jeter of the NBA has been nothing short of miraculous. There's no negative personal stories out there about LeBron. The only one is his gigantic ego, and he wants everything his way with his posse. I can live with that. No, go ahead.
Sorry. I think he'll tell himself. I think LeBron, having the ego and persona that he does, I think he'll get on some podcasts and he'll just start revealing stuff. Maybe not so much necessarily about him, but teammates and stuff that happened in the locker room. And it's going to take all this attention away from LeBron, and he's going to put it on other people to be like, yeah, like I know I'm King James, but look what I had to deal with in the locker room in Cleveland and Miami. I think we're going to hear some maybe J.R. Smith stories.
Oh, wow. He's on the fast track to the PGA Tour right now, that guy. It's just the thing I think that sucks to me is that LeBron James, as far as performance, I look at my favorite athletes in this way. Who's given me the most great days in my fandom? Michael Jordan is number 1. Tiger Woods is number 2, a very close to number 1. And then LeBron James is number 3. Because he's been there for 23 years. Even when they weren't winning titles, they were still competing at a very, very high level. And normally guys get come after. Whenever you're this and everybody wants to be you. But I don't feel like this is that, if that makes sense. I feel like it's just after all of these years of now the players are showing, well, how do we show that we don't want to play with LeBron? We don't go to the Lakers. Because, Mikey, living in California now sucks. I mean, everything is too expensive. Taxes, the whole 9 yards. And LeBron and his camp, they could hide behind that and say, well, we can't get anybody to come to L.A. But this is the Lakers and the Celtics are the 2 OGs. And you should be able to get anybody you want. But they haven't gotten anybody in the last several years. What does that tell you? It tells you that people don't want to play with this guy anymore. Is that what it tells you?
Yeah, look at their free agent signings this past year. Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, DeAndre Ayton. That tells me guys looking for a final chance. A guy's looking for maybe I could play. Maybe 20 years from now, when I'm having a cold one, I can look up at the TV and go, I used to play with LeBron James. And everyone goes, no, you didn't. Yeah, no, I did. I was with the Lakers for 1 year. So, no, you're absolutely right, Coach. No high level superstar right now really wants to play with LeBron James. And it's telling that LeBron over the past 10 months has been like, this is Luka's team. I would say that too, if everything started to reveal itself around the NBA as we're seeing.
You got to be honest. You got to really look at yourself in the stage you're at in your career and be honest and adjust, evolve, change. Man, I think this story is going to really, really mushroom in the next 3 to 5 months. I think this is LeBron's last season. I don't think he has very much left in him. We saw last year in the playoffs, his legs were nothing. He had no explosiveness. I think this will end not badly because they're going to celebrate him. But the fact that he hasn't had a tour, a retirement tour, all that kind of stuff, if this story is true, what do you think the last couple of home games for the Lakers will look like in April?
I would like to say appreciation.
But
This is where it's a catch-22, right? Because for the Lakers and the Lakers fan base, yeah, I mean, thanks for everything you've given to the league, LeBron, but man, we got Luka. Like a Bentley was nice, but man, we got a Ferrari sitting in our driveway now. I'm good with what we had, but I'm even more thankful for what we have moving forward. So I don't ever want to say a legend like LeBron kind of just goes away. But with no retirement tour or anything like that, I think this could be best case scenario for all parties involved.
And I know he wants to get into production. He wants to make TV shows and movies, and he wants to be that guy. He wants all of these big podcasts to come through his production company. We do have some breaking news before we get out of here that we have to fit into the show, and this is big breaking news. Mikey, according to Adam Schefter at ESPN, former Chargers and Colts quarterback and current St. Michael Catholic High School coach Philip Rivers will be interviewing today to be the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Mikey, we're talking about a guy that came back to play in 2 different games at the end of the season for the Colts that seemed very appreciative, that seemed like he was a guy that was happy to be back and that he wanted to be a role model for the kids. I don't hate this. I like his intensity. I like how he always wants to win. What do you make? Because I know this is just coming out right now. Because I'm seeing him with a headset on. I'm seeing him in Buffalo. I don't hate it. What about you?
First off, props to you, coach. This is why I know you're a true professional. This is why I look up to you. Because only you could fit in Draymond Green and Philip Rivers into the same show and have to pull a reaction out of me because I absolutely would hate it. You think I want to hear a guy going, dang nabbit, Josh Allen, you got to hit that pat? Like, no, I think Philip Rivers' ego would be far too much with Josh Allen, who's not some outspoken bravado guy. Like Josh Allen just shows up, kind of punches in his time card and punches out on the way out, even though he's the first one in, last one out. I don't think Philip Rivers is head coach, NFL head coach ready. I'm going to push back all the way. I don't want to see Philip Rivers in the league.
Even in the league?
Yeah.
Even in the league?
Work your way up, man. Work your way up.
Man, I will push back on that. I think in today's NFL, what do you and I talk about a lot is coaches that are the rah-rah guys, but they're not necessarily great offensive guys or great defensive guys. This is one of the greatest quarterbacks who, by the way, got to call his own plays for several years at the end of his career. I would rather have this than a Mike McDaniel, a guy who is super smart, doesn't really say anything. Because to me, look at Mike Vrabel, for example. Great defensive mind, gutty. His team follows him. You don't think Philip Rivers could get the same type of performance out of an offense? You don't believe that?
No, because I base Phillip Rivers. My personal opinion of Phillip Rivers comes off of what he shows personality wise, and I think his personality may be bigger than his intelligent football mind. Mike Vrabel has personality, but he is a leader of men. I do not see Phillip Rivers being a leader of men. Mike Vrabel is very good defensively, but he is a possible MVP candidate in Drake May. I think Phillip Rivers could be fun for a locker room. I just think he would get too far ahead of himself at this stage.
Well, there are people out there because, when you talk about high-level players and do they translate to being high-level coaches, let's remember Jim Harbaugh, high-level coach, and he's turned into a great coach as well. Okay, now Ian Rappaport says that Josh Allen and Phillip Rivers have a very, very close relationship. That's Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network. And if that is true, and they're allowing Josh Allen to have the loudest voice in the room, Rappaport's also saying they trained together before Allen's rookie year, and Allen has talked about learning from Rivers and looking up to him. So does that change your take?
Doesn't change my opinion. But Josh Allen has the biggest say in Buffalo. He's going to have the biggest opinion on this show. I'm clear about that, right? So if that's Josh Allen's guy and he's identified it, good luck. I mean, I don't know what they're going to bond over. Never making a Super Bowl. Listen. I'm just saying.
Boy, that's a little savage.
Listen.
How about bonding over high level quarterback play? Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He is.
Hall of very good.
No, Hall of Fame. He's really, he was a great quarterback. He was a great quarterback. Why can't you give him at least that? He's going to be a Hall of Fame. You said Hall of Good. He was great.
I could send you out of your seat right now, and I can make a crazy statement. I'm not going to go off.
Go for it. No, go for it. Go for it.
I would like to see Fernando Mendoza in 10 years. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not on the Phillip Rivers train. I never will be, never have been. I'm out.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm not
never
a dog in the fight. We're having. You don't have to apologize to me. If I think you're wrong, I'm going to tell you that you're wrong, and I would expect the same coming back at me. That's the only way you can have these conversations. The beautiful part is, if this happens, we'll get to see. I do think that there are owners. We have a term for them in sports that I'm not going to say here. But let's just say they like hanging out with athletes. And sometimes when you can get enamored with an athlete who played really well. Look at Peyton Manning. He's made a gigantic career after football because everybody loves being around him. And he's got a really smart brother who put together a really cool company. And now they're making all of these shows because I remember, Mikey, when a few years ago when Peyton Manning was offered $10 million to be an analyst at ESPN, and he turned it down to call Monday Night Football. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, what is this guy going to do? Why would he turn down $10 million to be the voice of Monday Night Football? And then all of a sudden, Omaha Productions kicks off. All of a sudden, all these different shows coming out of one production studio. All of a sudden, oh, wait, Manning Cast with his it made all the sense in the world. And now he's in every commercial. His brother's in every commercial. The family's making probably, would you guess, 5 times that $10 million a year? Easy. $40-50 million a year. And he gets to dictate every single thing that he does. So sometimes those athletes can use that. Now, I don't think Phillip Rivers is Peyton Manning, but there are owners that like to hang out with athletes. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I think my biggest pushback on Phillip Rivers as a head coach in the NFL comes down to, if you look at some of the brightest minds we've seen in football currently right now, and I'll look at 3. Some you may know, some you may not. JT Barrett, the quarterbacks coach of the Chicago Bears. Wow, what a name. He never amounted to anything in the NFL. Kellen Moore, a career-long backup in the NFL, head coach of the Saints. Josh McCown, quarterbacks coach in Minnesota. All these guys get praised for the work they've done. And I would rather have those guys. And there's a reason these backup quarterbacks or backup offensive players can sometimes make the best coaches in the NFL. And I would rather have those guys than a Philip Rivers.
But they did play, correct?
Yes, not
They
to the
did.
level.
They did play.
Yes.
Interesting. We will discuss this further if Philip Rivers gets hired by the Buffalo Bills. And now I'm almost hoping he gets hired by the Buffalo Bills because it'll be a lot of fun to chop it up with my boy. All right. You need to follow us on social media. Still figuring out if we're going to be here Sunday morning. Probably. But we don't know yet. We'll find out. Also, in the next 5 to 6 days, hopefully sooner than that, we'll have a big announcement about the future of our brand. But we're growing fast on both sides of the fence. So thank you to everybody for hanging out with us here at Coaching Company, but also on the Coach and Bro side. All right, that's going to do it for today. Have a great weekend for my man, Mikey P, producer man behind the scenes. I am the coach. By the next morning show that we have weekday on Monday, we're going to know who the two teams are going to be that will battle for the Super Bowl championship. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Travel safe. Once again, I am the coach. We'll see you next time right here on the Coaching Company podcast.